Gameloop is an ATSC 3.0 internet channel broadcast alongside other ATSC 3.0 channels from many ATSC 3.0 stations, particularly those owned by Sinclair and Gray. When you tap into the channel, a live stream appears with an on-screen host playing a game, and other than simply watching the live stream, it allows you to seamlessly choose and play the game the host is playing, or a different game from the available game selection. The games are provided by a company called Play.Works, which also provides the same free games to many other streaming apps, including Sling Arcade. The games are nothing crazy. They're simply computationally light titles, including Tetris and Crossy Road. The latter I downloaded for free on my Apple TV 7 years ago. They are keeping the computational complexity low of the already basic games by lowering the resolution and frame rate the games render at. To give you an idea, I could see these games playing fine on Google Chromebooks my school district had when I was in middle school 10 years ago. The games don't play back very smooth, and I noticed a delay from when my remote would hit a button to when it would actually complete the action in the game. I could see this being used by people who don't know that you can go to your device's app store and download these games individually, or that these games are available on other platforms like with Sling's Arcade. Other than that, from a pure gaming aspect, there's no point to this. The innovative part of Gameloop is that there's a live TV stream of somebody playing a game, and that you can seamlessly go from watching that live stream to playing the same game or a different game yourself. It also makes discovery of these games easy, since you're literally finding it using your TV guide. The way it's deployed right now, Gameloop needs an internet connection to play back the live channel and to download all of the games. Basically, an internet connection is needed to launch the entire Gameloop experience. If you don't have an internet connection and you tap on the Gameloop channel, nothing will happen. In addition, you need to have an antenna connected in order for the Gameloop experience to start, since an IP address and port combination is sent over the air, which tells your device where to acquire the content made up of the Gameloop experience. In my opinion, Gameloop is faced with an existential question. Honestly, what's stopping other companies and platforms from doing the same thing? For instance, what's stopping Sling from adding a similar experience with a software update in the future to their Sling Arcade? And even better, you wouldn't need a clunky antenna in order to use it. What boggles my mind is that the entire Gameloop experience is completely internet-based, yet an antenna is still needed to use Gameloop. If you're going to require an antenna be connected, at least broadcast the live stream over the air, or even better, cache at least some of the games using the over-the-air signal. That way, Gameloop would actually have a differentiating factor from internet-based competition. Gameloop also has another problem. Sling Arcade, which uses the same Play.Works underlying platform, doesn't appear on the Sling Apple TV app, along with many other Sling apps for other streaming platforms. This is because Play.Works primarily develops their platform for Android-based operating systems. Because of this, Gameloop is mainly tied at the moment to Android operating systems, which is further cementing broadcasters to solely having things work with Android, similar to the A3SA DRM situation at the moment. Instead of using a few kilobits per second to broadcast IP addresses, broadcasters should send a few kilobits per second of audio encoded in XHE-AAC and a few dozen kilobits per second of video encoded in VVC, and actually broadcast more channels over the air for free without requiring internet, which is supposed to be the point of broadcasting, right? Unfortunately, the same devices broadcasters expect you to play games on can't even software decode the extremely efficient VVC video codec, a codec that software decodes perfectly fine on my cheap $60 Android phone. By relying on expensive Android devices with cheap components, broadcasters are putting themselves in a hole by catering to what can be done with very little computational resources, and Gameloop is the epitome of this. Whenever I want to play a low complexity game like Crossy Road on a TV, I will play it from an Apple TV, a micro console device that costs less than many ATSC 3.0 set-top boxes that will actually render playback smoothly and responsively in 4K HDR. In fact, I can even play Crossy Road and watch live ATSC 3.0 channels without DRM at the same time without an internet connection on my Apple TV, something that cannot be said about Gameloop.
Down into the low 60s overnight near the coast. We're forecasting a low of 61